my mother asked me, "Son, what would you like to eat tonight?" I looked at her and said, "I'd like to have your chicken curry for dinner." She glared at me and said, "Every time I ask you what you want to have for dinner, you say chicken curry. Kau ini macam budak Melayu. You are like a Malay boy." I was a bit taken aback by her response, but I replied her and said, "But Mom, I am Malay." She paused, let that sink in, and she realized what she said, and both of us had a good laugh. You know you come from a very diverse and mixed family when your own mother, the woman that brought you into this world, that raised you, can't even remember what race you are. Fellow Toastmasters. My family is very mixed and diverse. We have Chinese, Indonesian, Borneo, Peninsular Malaysia, Filipino roots. If you were to trace our geographic location or origin, it would look like an Air-Asia flight route. On top of this mixture was the way we were raised. My parents raised us very Western rather than Asian. We spoke mostly English. We used fork and spoon rather than hand to use. Men were allowed into the kitchen. My mother's curry, not very spicy, not like the real curry. My father was a senior staff in Brunei Shell when I was born. As a senior staff, he was entitled to send his children to the senior staff school. At that time, there were only 2 Asian senior staff, the rest being expatriates. So school for us was like an international school. My siblings and I were surrounded by European children and British kids. We didn't know we were Asian. When my sister completed her lower secondary school in that school, the principal called her over and said, "Siti, our school doesn't have an upper secondary, so for you to complete your secondary education, you need to go to a public Malay school." My sister, according to my mother, looked at the principal in a confused manner and said, "But sir, these schools are for Malay people." Which the principal replied, "Yes, Siti, but do you know you are Malay?" It didn't help that we didn't look Malay either. My mother is Lutut with Filipino Chinese blood. She's very fair and she has silver hair now. Somehow when we travel, people like to ask her, "Where are you from? What's your ethnicity?" So far she's been tagged as Korean, Japanese, Chinese, Filipino, and some Eurasian and European ethnicities that we don't know about. My siblings and I have inherited a look, meaning we don't look Malay. 2 weeks ago, I was in a restaurant with a bunch of friends, a very diverse group in itself. After we finished our dinner, paid the bill, we were walking out, and the waiter greeted us one by one by saying, "Thank you, Happy New Year," because it was still Chinese New Year. When I was walking out, the waiter looked at me and said, "Kong si fa chai se se ni?" This confusion, this mixture and diversity will still continue to confuse our next generation. My children, my nephews, and my nieces. Why? Many, many years ago, I was in my brother's car and we were traveling to Genting Highlands for a family getaway. My niece, who was at that time 9 years old, being very naive and innocent, sitting in the car from KL after one asked her mother, "Why is Uncle Emil going to Genting with us? Why is he staying in the same hotel?" To which the mother responded, "Well, this is a family getaway. We're going to spend a few days in Genting Highlands in the same hotel. Uncle Emil is your father's brother. So since his family, we're all going together." To which my niece, in a very alarmed voice, said, "Uncle Emil can't be my dad's brother. Uncle Emil is Chinese." You see, the problem was my niece thought her family was English. Ladies and gentlemen, I fear that this confusion will still continue to my children. My daughter, who's currently in Canada, is dating a West Indies German/Swiss boy. Well, of course they're young, but if this goes any further and they get married and they have children, there could be a possibility that one day my daughter will be asked to cook German chicken sausage curry with Swiss cheese. The only hope we have of some order in this diversity is my son. My son has the bloodline, he has the culture, the knowledge of the culture, and he has the looks. Thanks to his mother, my son is more than 50% Chinese in blood. His grandmother and grandparents and mother have taught him the Chinese traditions and culture. He is currently dating a Chinese girl from mainland China. As for looks, whenever my son takes a picture, we have to remind him to open his eyes wide. Otherwise, when he smiles, it looks like his eyes are closed. Over to you.